Hey guys, Steven here, and today I thought it would be fun to talk a little bit more about the blues, but welcome to the live stream. We don't have to stick to the blues the whole time, but I did want to start off. So as you know, I'm working on a blues course, a U-based blues course, and I just got through a lesson where we're doing turnarounds and endings. So I kind of want to go over just what we went over in the course as well as what's going to come next. So we started with root note bass lines, which would just be stuff like this. 3, 4. So that's kind of what we did in the first lesson. We just talked about what the 12-bar blues was and went through basically that bass line. Sorry, let me get this a little bit better. There we go. So then what we talked about after that was applying patterns to 12-bar blues. That sounds more like, could have been that pattern. I'm going to use a different one because that one's an actual song. We didn't go over this pattern, but went over the concept. Okay, so we basically went through, and then we learned a whole bunch of different patterns that work like that one. So we went through a swing pattern, which was like the or I think I did it that way. But anyway, we were using the same exact structure for all of those, where we're staying on the 1 chord for 4 measures. Then we were moving up to the 4 chord and doing that for 2 measures, 2 bars, if you will. Then moving back to the 1 chord for 2 measures. Then we went to the 5 chord, to the 4 chord, to the 1 chord, and we usually went back to the 5 chord. But what we did in this last lesson was, instead of everything just being the same pattern all the way through the whole entire form, now we're changing the last 2 measures to have a turnaround, which is kind of an ending for each 12-bar cycle. And then we also added an ending to the song. So let me play through, I'm going to play through a pattern-oriented blues and then throw on a turnaround at the end so that you'll know what we're doing. So here's kind of what we went over in the last lesson. And we did this with different styles, but we'll take the shuffle for now. Oh, we didn't do that yet. So that's the 1 chord. We do it 4 times. We went to our 4 chord. Do it again. Back to the 1 chord. To the 5 chord. To the 4 chord, then our turnaround. And then we're back to the beginning. So that's kind of what we did there. So we can do that. And then we'd added endings. So I'll do the same thing, but add the ending. So let's just start from measure 10. So this is where we were here. We'll stop there and then. So that's kind of what we did and what we went over. So what I'd like to do right now is just do a couple of like playthrough types of things. So I'm going to go through the 12-bar cycle 2 times using that particular pattern, which you can find that pattern on the 3rd blues lesson. And then the turnaround that I'm using, you can find on the 4th lesson. And I think I use that pattern somewhere in there as well. So you might be able to find basically how I'm going to do the first 12 bars here. And then after that, we'll do the same 12 bars other than the ending being different, which means when we get to measure 10, we're going to stop on the 4 chord and then play the ending. So here's all of that together, but let's play it together. 1, 2, 3, 4. one chord still. One more time. Now we're going to the 4 chord. Again. To our 1 chord. To our 5 chord. To our 4. Turn around. And the whole 12 bar again. With the ending this time. Four chord. That's the 1 chord. 5 chord. 4 chord. Here's the ending. And on that particular one, I forgot to stop on the 4 chord. Normally we'd have something like this. And then a stop. 2, 3, 4, then the ending. Or it could be. So you can have different endings, but those are 2 of the options. So hopefully that helps a little bit on kind of how it all goes together. And the next upcoming lessons in the course, there's only a few left. We're going to do variations, and then we're going to do some walk-ups. So not every 12-bar form is going to be 4 times on the 1 chord, 2 times on the 4 chord, and so forth. Some of them will have some variations. So one variation is called a quick change, and that will be the second measure of the whole entire blues. So bar 2 out of 12, we will go to the 4 chord. So it'll sound like this as we do the whole pattern. So from the beginning, it'll be like to the 4 chord, and then back to the 1 chord. So that breaks up staying on the 4, staying on the 1 chord. So instead of staying on it for 4 measures, we're just staying on it for 1 measure, then going to the 4 chord, then coming back to it for 2 measures. So there's not really as much of like that stagnant feel. So sometimes people like doing that just to kind of spice it up. And speaking of that, slow blueses almost always have a quick change. Not quite always, but almost. And that's because you're on the chord for so long that we just want to like change it up a little bit to keep it rolling. So I'm going to do a slow blues with a quick change. Basically, people call this a quick 4 or a quick change if you were at a jam. So here's the slow blues with the quick change. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. To the 4 chord. Back to the 1. Then the rest is the same. So we're at our 4 chord. Then back to our 1. Then we go to our 5, our 4. Let's do a turnaround. We don't need to go around it right now a whole other time to do an ending. You get the idea. So that's a 12-bar slow blues with a quick change and pretty standard turnaround at the end of it that will work a lot of times. But I think I mentioned in the last video, not all turnarounds are like interchangeable. So if you can, listen for what the guitar player is doing if they're the one leading the song, because it might have a slightly different thing going on. And if you can pick it up by ear, you can try to like change it accordingly. But if not, you can go ahead and play that pattern for the turnaround. And that pattern was found in the 4th lesson of the blues course. Okay, so now that we've got those concepts down, we've got a quick change. That's our new thing. So the 1 chord, then going to the 4 chord on the second measure, but then everything else about the blues after that is the same. 1 chord, 1 chord. We go to the 4 chord at the normal time after that. You get the idea. So it only affects the second measure of the piece. Now we kind of need some other ways to spruce up the bass line, because you're playing that pattern all the time. It doesn't really help the band know where we're going. So like we want to kind of lead the other musicians in where we're going. So this is where we start adding our walk-ups. So if you're familiar with walk-ups, you kind of already know what's coming. But if you've never done any walk-ups, that's kind of the next step on the blues. So we can do them whether there's a quick change or not, because usually the most common walk-up happens on measure 4 going into measure 5. So let me do an example of that with the shuffle feel. Third measure, and then the walk up. So you got that, and then just normal from here on out. We could do this walk up if we wanted to. I'm gonna do an ending 2, 3, 4. Okay, so what I did there was on the 4th measure, first I hit the root note, right? And since it's a shuffle, I'm hitting every note twice, or almost every note, but we'll get to that in a minute. So is the walk up. So basically what I did there was I played the root note, and then we're moving up to the 4 chord on the next measure. So after I play the root note of the 1 chord, the rest of the measure is just walking into that note. So we have 3 notes, and then we want to land on this note. So we want to go 3 frets back. So 2nd fret, 1st fret, and open. Open will count as a fret in this sense. So we're literally going to fill in the gap. We're going to play open, 1st fret, 2nd fret, 3rd fret. Now notice that 0, 1, 2, and then we're ending up on the 3rd fret. Notice that those are in order. So if we do this in a different key, we just want to go 3 frets back, not to an open string, if that makes sense. So if our pattern was here, if our 1 chord was here, and we're trying to do a walk up here, we'd go. So we'd hit the root note, which is that A, if we're in the key of A instead of the key of G, before we were in the key of G. So that A is 5th fret on the E string, and then we're trying to move to the 5th fret on the D string. Well, if we're in this key, instead of hitting an open string next, we'd hit the 2nd fret, because 2, 3, 4, and then we land on the 5th fret. So if you're trying to do the math and you're not sure how to make sure you're going the right number of frets back, what I would do is put your pinky on the note you want to end up on. So if we're going from the 1 chord and then we're walking up to the 4 chord, we know we want to end up here, right? If our 1 chord is A, our 4 chord will be D. So I'd move out of this position and put my pinky on where we're trying to end up, and that way I know exactly where to do the rest of my walk. So we're doing our pattern, then we hit our root note again, then we'll move up. Okay, and so that's it. If we know we're moving here, we're going 3 frets back. If you're walking up to a different chord, the idea is the same. You hit the root note of whatever chord you're on, and then, like, let's say we're going from the 1 chord to the 5 chord. This would be like measure, let's see, I think measure 8 in the blues, in the 12-bar blues form. So we're on a 1 chord and we're moving to a 5 chord now. Well, here's our 1 chord. So our 5 chord is there. So we just got to go 3 frets back. So that was our pinky note. 1 is 1 fret back is the ring finger note. 1 fret back is the middle finger note, and then our index finger. So our grid might have to move to do these walk-ups, but not in this case. Okay, so that's going 3 frets back from the 5 chord, and then we'll end up there. So that the measure with the walk up ends up being, oh, we have a visitor, I guess. She came to join us. She needs to get booped. Boop. Okay. But yeah, so everybody, if you don't know my cat, this is Melanie Cornbread, and she's up here looking for bugs, I guess. I don't know what she's doing. Just looking around. Okay. She just came to say hi, I guess. But yeah, these walk-ups, the idea is just where you're trying to get to, put your pinky there, and then you know exactly where you're walking from. So in this case, we're hitting the root note of the chord we're on 2 times because we're doing a shuffle. But if it's not a shuffle, then you just hit it once. But we're basically hitting the root note of the chord we're on, and then moving to 3 frets behind our target note. So if we're going from the 1 chord to the 5 chord, the 5 chord is the 7th fret. So 7, 6, 5, 4. 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's how we do these walk-ups in blues. They're chromatic, which means they're using notes that aren't technically in the scale in order to get there. But let me put all the walk-ups that we can in while we're doing this. So I'm going to do a shuffle pattern. We'll go back to the key of G, and I'll show that you can walk into the 4 chord, you can walk into the 5 chord, you can even walk back into the 1 chord. There's all sorts of walks you can do. So let me try to do one where you're doing all the walks. So we got our 1 chord. Our first walk will be here. 4 chord. Back to the 1. Let's walk to the 5. 5 chord. We could have done a walk there. And then my turnaround that time, I gave up and just went da-dun, 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 which some songs do that too. It's a turnaround that wasn't covered in the lessons though. So let me try again. Let's see if we can get all the walks. Yeah, and if we go from our 5 chord, we could literally do, if we have our last 2 measures not having a turnaround technically, and just going, oh, we're going from our 1 chord to our 5 chord, then we start back over on our 1 chord, you can technically walk those too, right? So we're going from our 1 chord to our 5 chord, our 4 chord back to the 1, then we could walk to the 5, then back to the 1. So you can do that same walk up where you're just hitting the root note and then going 3 frets back from wherever your landing note is. I'm calling it the target note, which is the root of your next chord. So you can kind of use that to get there. Are y'all able to hear me, by the way? Okay, I think something's wrong with the mic. It's probably using the wrong microphone. Are you guys able to hear me? Okay. Is that what's going on? Let's see. Hey, check 1 2. I'm not sure which mic it's using. That's kind of confusing. So hopefully you guys can hear me. But let me know in the comments if you can hear me. Can you hear me? So type in the chat just to let me know that it's working, because I have a feeling it may not be, because y'all aren't staying on very long. So let's see. What is going on? Okay. Well, hopefully that's working. So yeah, let me know in the chat if this is working. I haven't seen any chats either, which always makes me question if the stream is working. So forgive me if you're watching this on the replay, but we just got to make sure that things are actually working for now. So what I'm going to do is go to the live stream and just see if anybody has entered anything in the chat. Okay, so this might be weird for a minute. But yeah, just let me know in the comments if you can hear me, because I have a feeling. Okay, it's working. I'm gonna send a chat from my cat's channel. Yes, my cat has a channel, just to make sure that the chat is working as well. Okay, it popped up. Okay. So for those interested in cats, that's my cat's channel that I just commented over there with. Okay. So I guess the stream is working. It's just not a lot of people on. So I'm wondering if something is wrong on YouTube's end. Anyway, we'll keep going. Okay, so you got all the walk-ups that we talked about, and then you've got the quick change. We don't want to use all those walk-ups, right? If you're walking up as much as I was there, that would be distracting from the song. So the most common walk-up is on the fourth measure of the blues form, going from the 1 chord to the 4 chord. And then if you're in the eighth measure, walking from the 1 chord to the 5 chord, that one's common too. But if you do that, it might signal to the rest of the band that we're about to end the song. So you got to kind of be careful with that one, because sometimes it sounds very final. So I'm going to do 2 blueses, one where I do the 2 12-bar cycles, one where I do the walk up into the 4 chord only, and then I'll do a turnaround at the end. And then the next one, I'll just do both of them. I'll do the one there and the one that signals the ending, and then I'll do a stop on the following measure after the 5 chord. So it's like to show you what it was cueing. Okay. Actually, I can do all that in 1 12-bar. Let's just do that. So here we go. Our 1 chord. Let's get ready. Here's the walk up. 4 chord. Back to the 1 chord. Here we go. To make it sound final, we're going to the 5 chord. 2, 3, 4, ending. So basically what I did there was when I walked to the 5 chord from the 1 chord, that might have cued the rest of the band like, oh, something's different. Something different is happening because we're going to a different note with the walk up. So 5 chord, 4 chord, boom. And for those that are following along that want the frets, I'll tell you the frets real quick. So I move back to G. We're in the key of G. So when I'm doing the pattern, we're doing 3rd fret on the E string, to 2nd fret on the A string, to 5th fret on the A string, and we're hitting each one of these 2 times, to 2nd fret on the D string 1 time, and then the 5th fret on the A string 1 time. That's our pattern. And then our walk up from our 1 chord to our 4 chord is going to be 3rd fret on the E string, then the open A string, then the 1st fret on the A string, 2nd fret on the A string, and then we'll end up on the 3rd fret of the A string, and that'll be our 4 chord. Okay. So that's our walk up. And then later on, when we get to the walk up into the 5 chord, that's 3rd fret on the E string, going to the 2nd fret on the A string, to the 3rd fret, to the 4th fret, to the 5th fret. And then that pattern that we did here, it's a movable pattern. So we're going to do the exact same finger shape, but we're going to move our grid to be centered around the 5th fret on the A string. Okay. And that ending is 3rd fret on the E string, 2nd fret on the A string, 3rd fret on the A string, 4th fret, then 5th fret, still on the A string. And then the last 3 notes are 2nd fret D string, 4th fret D string, and 5th fret D string. So let me know if you have any questions about that in the comments. But that's kind of where we are with the blues. So now we've learned the 12-bar form. We've learned different styles that you can apply a pattern to. We've learned the turnarounds and the endings. And then now this is the stuff that'll happen in the future of the course. We were talking about walk-ups. We were talking about quick changes. So sometimes there's some chord substitutions in the blues. And then we were putting all that together. So then let's talk about a couple of other variations chord-wise that can happen. One thing is you could do a minor blues. So like instead of the chords being major and doing this kind of pattern, we're doing this kind of pattern. Or we could do a minor blues where the instead of the 5 chord and the 4 chord at measures 9 and 10, you could do the flat 6 chord or the 6 chord from the minor key, and then the fifth. So that would be like our roots are here. So if we did a root note bass line in minor and we're doing those changes, we have our 1 chord, the second time, third time, fourth, then we go to our 4 chord, second time, back to our 1 chord. This is where it's going to change. Now we're going to go 1 fret higher than our 5 chord, then to our 5 chord, and then back to our 1 chord, and then if whatever turnaround that you have there. So let me put a pattern with that. So we're going to do a pattern and take it around this minor blues. It'll just be a minor arpeggio. That'll keep things easy. And then when we get to the flat 6 chord, that one will happen to be a major chord arpeggio. So anyway, we'll get there. I'll just play it first so you can hear what it sounds like. Then we go to our 4 chord, back to our 1 chord, to our 5 chord, or sorry, a flat 6 chord, to our 5 chord. And let's make the 5 chord major too. Then back to minor. And then we could do a turnaround there, or we could just do the 1 chord, then go to the 5 chord like we used to do. So let's talk about that. The pattern is going to be index finger on the 3rd fret, and we're still doing G. We're just now doing G minor. So pointer finger on the 3rd fret, going to our pinky note on the 6th fret, going to the 5th fret, our ring finger note on the A string, 1 string thinner. So that's our pattern, and we're doing that each measure. And this is the rhythm: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And okay, so we're gonna go all the way around the 12-bar blues using that, but instead of going to the 5 chord, we're gonna go 1 fret up and do the 6 chord. And when we get there, that's gonna be the 6th fret on the A string. We're gonna do a major arpeggio instead. So that's gonna be the 6th fret on the A string, going to the 5th fret on the D string, and the 8th fret on the D string. And then we're going to move that pattern down a half step when we get to our 5 chord and measure 10 this time. And that's going to be 5th fret, then going 1 fret back to the 4th fret, 1 string thinner, and then going to a 7th fret on the D string that we're already on as well. And then we'll go back to our original pattern. And then we'll go to our 5 chord. And we'll play that. So try to play along with me, even if your memory of what I just said isn't quite there yet. We'll just go ahead and play through and hear how it sounds and keep going with that. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and now we're going to our 4 chord. Second time, back to our root. Now we're going to go that flat 6 chord, 6th fret, 5th fret, then our 1 chord, and our 5 chord. Okay, so that's something that you could do. So basically, that's just a variation of the blues. One, you can do be pulling from the minor scale instead of from the major scale. And then what we talked about in measure 9 of the form, you normally would go to the 5 chord and then go to the 4 chord. But here we went to the flat 6 chord, which is just the 6th note of the minor scale, and then the 5th note of the minor scale. And we made both of those patterns major, which is why I'm telling you the frets on that. But our finger pattern for a minor arpeggio, which is what we're doing for the rest of the song, is index to pinky, and then going 1 string thinner and doing ring finger. So index to pinky are both on the same string, and then you go 1 string thinner to do the ring finger. And then our major arpeggio for when we get to that measure 9 where we're on the flat 6 chord, that'll be the 6th fret of the A string. starting on our middle finger and going one string thinner to play 1 fret back from that. So it was the 6th fret. Now we're doing the 5th fret and the 8th fret. And then you move that geometric pattern, all those notes down 1 fret when you go to the 5 chord. And then our 1 chord will be minor, so we'll go back to our index finger. So that's the thing. When you play a minor blues, you're not necessarily keeping the pattern exactly the same because you're changing certain notes to match up probably more with the harmonic minor scale than any of the other scales. So just something to look out for. This may not make that much sense to you guys, but just watch out for that if you're playing a song that has that minor blues kind of sound. Okay, so now we've talked about different variations, one being the quick change and the other one being the minor blues. And then we could combine it all together. So we'll use that line that we just did, but we'll do, gosh, I'm trying to think of, and then ending those. If you have that kind of feel, you're not going to do the same ending or the same turnaround that we've done before. So that one will have a different ending. Let me try to make one up that fits the vibe. We'd usually tag it. Oh, we haven't talked about tags. That's what we can talk about. 2, 3, 4. So that kind of feel that I have almost has that rumba kind of vibe. You could kind of add like the cha-cha-cha ending on that. So we didn't talk about tags. Sometimes when you get to the end of a blues song, instead of just doing the whole entire 12 bar and then doing an ending, the ending will be like looping the last 4 measures of the blues. So that would be the part that goes. So that was the second time through the tag. And the final time, there'll usually be a stop. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's just an ending I kind of came up with where I did the pattern, then added the root note up an octave, short, and then I added the cha-cha-cha after that. Boom, 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 boom. So you'll hear things like that, and you might miss those endings if you're at a blues jam. You just try to follow, and the more you're there, the more you hear other people play, the more you'll pick up on stuff like that works. And other times you might just leave out the ending and let the rest of the band hit it. And if you can figure out where they're going, hit the last note with them. That's another option. But because sometimes people will just have like the stop 2, 3, 4, 1. There won't be like a cha-cha-cha or anything like that on the end of those. But we talked about a lot of stuff here. So all these variations you'll run into if you stay around a blues scene long enough. But really the main ones you want to know are, what is the 12 bar? Okay, if they say there's a quick 4, what do I do? So the quick 4, the quick change, that just means replacing the second measure, which is normally a 1 chord. We're just replacing that with the 4 chord. And then just knowing that default wise, when you do a slow blues, 9 times out of 10, the slow blues will have a quick change in it, because staying on the 1 chord for 4 measures can put people to sleep when you're playing slow like that. So most of the time when you do a slow blues, you'll do the 1 chord. So let's see, boom, 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 boom. Then you'll go to the 4 chord right away. And then go back to the 1 chord for the rest of the, what would have been 4 bars. Now there's just 2 measures left of it, and you'll do the 1 chord. Then you'll go to the 4 chord like normal and do it twice. So in other words, if you think about the whole entire 12 bar form, we're not changing anything else other than the second measure is turning into the 4 chord. So it normally would have been 4 1 chords. Now it's a 1 chord, a 4 chord, and 2 1 chords. And then the rest of the 12 bar blues will be the same. So I did an example of a 12 bar blues earlier. let's pretend that we're just doing the last time around, and we're going to do it with the ending that we talked about in lesson 4, the slow blues ending. So we're going to use that ending. So if you've done lesson 4, then you know what to do here. If not, you can go there and then watch this on the replay, and hopefully you can do a play along with that then. But we're going to do a slow blues with a quick change, because that's the normal way for most slow blueses. And then I'm going to try to throw a walk up on measure 4. So that means the last one chord going into the 4 chord, just so you can hear how it sounds in the slow blues too. Okay. 1, 2, 3, a lit, 4, a lit. 4 chord. Back to the 1 chord. We're going to do a walk up. Now the 4 chord. 4 chord again. Back to the 1 chord. Now we're going to walk up to the 5. Now we're going to do a stop. 1, 2, 3, and here's our ending. That's the wrong ending. Dum, dum, dum. That's the ending I wanted to do. So let's go back. Let's rewind to the 9th measure. So this will be the 5 chord, and then we're going to stop on the 4 chord, and then we'll do the right ending. 1, 2, 3, 4. Get ready, stop, 2, 3, 4, ending. Yeah, and so you might notice those last 2 notes were a little bit out of time. Sometimes in the blues, you just have to watch the other people around you. They might wait a little bit longer to play the last 2 notes just to be a little dramatic. Okay, so then that being said, we now kind of know what to do there. There are a lot of other variations. Sometimes there are different chords in the last 4 bars. So like if you do a swing blues, sometimes instead of going from the 5 chord to the 4 chord, people will go from the 2 chord to the 5 chord. So the 2 chord is usually minor, right? So it's a little bit different. So if you're walking a pattern that's like arpeggios, then right here, let me do it in a context where it's not so repetitive, because usually if you're doing a swing blues, it's going to be more like this style line. With walk-ups and everything. Then 2 walk up, 2, 5, walk down. And I don't know why I'm doing the da-da-da-da-da-da ending, but that happens sometimes too. So just a lot of little variations like that, but you can see they happen in kind of predictable places. So when you're playing the blues, listen out for that. But then sometimes there are songs that are just kind of unique to themselves, and you just have to kind of know the song. So that's true of any genre. So this idea of like learning all these blues things, it'll help you have like an idea of what could happen, an idea of what is most likely going to happen in the song. But, you know, people are writing songs. They're not trying to follow a strict guideline. They get to bend the rules a little bit. So there's like a rock kind of driven song, Going Down, has more of like a driving straight 8th note kind of feel. Actually, those are 16th notes. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 1E and a 2E. Okay. So if we start from the first measure of that one, how's it go? It's like I'm going down, 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 down. Okay. Go to the 4 chord when it's time. 2 and a 3. Down, 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 down. We go to our 5 chord. Then instead of going to our 4 chord, we do the lick. And then it doesn't really have a turnaround because that lick is kind of interesting enough and compelling enough. So that's an example of a variation you can do. Give Me One Reason by Tracy Chapman. It's that's another one that's a 12 bar that she did something a little different to make it different from other 12 bar blues songs, right? So it's like she's doing a 4 chord or the notes. Yeah, I think it's a full chord. I think the guitar does it too. Okay, sorry, I was just checking. Something's not a little out of tune. I probably am. I don't think I tuned up before this lesson. Sorry, guys. Let me do that real quick. I'm going to tune up for you guys. That's pretty close. Okay, good. It was in tune. That's good. So, yeah, so hers, it adds like 4, 5 at the end of almost every phrase. So let's see. And I'm doing the bare bones version. So it's like if you're doing the 1 chord, it's almost like it feels like it has a quick change because it's going to the 4, but then you're hitting the 5 right after it. So it's like 1, 4, then you're hitting a 5 in that measure, and then 1. Then you go to the 4 chord, then you go 4, 5, then the 1 chord again. Then this is where you normally go the 5 chord. Then I think you still do that 4, 5. So it's almost like if you wrote the 12 bar blues out 4 measures per line, it's like the second measure of each line. So that would end up being the second measure, the 6th measure, and the 10th measure, all that bum, bum. Whoops. I played it in a different key than I was doing before. But you kind of get the idea. So there's that. And then there are other songs that have variations that are kind of strange, and your brain probably has evened them out. Have you guys ever played Folsom Prison Blues before? So if you listen to the original, it's not a 12 bar blues. The Johnny Cash one's not a 12 bar blues. And I think they did it, I don't know if they did it to save time or if they did it just because it felt better or if they're trying to make the song shorter. But they decided to just chop off a measure of the 12 bar blues form. So it's an 11 bar blues. It's exactly like the 12 bar, only in measure, in the 9th measure, they go to the 5 chord just like normal, but the 10th measure, they stay on the 5 chord. And there's some songs that do that. So like measures 9 and 10 are both 5 chord instead of the 5 chord moving to the 4 chord. So that's another variation, which I should have mentioned. But basically then after that, they go back to the 1 chord. And, normally you'd have a 12th measure where it either goes to the 5 chord or you'd have a little walk up, bum kind of thing going on. Well, instead of just not doing that, some songs will just stay on the 1 chord for that measure. But Folsom Prison just gets rid of that measure entirely. So when you're doing Folsom Prison, it's got that country style line, that jump blues, if you remember that from one of the lessons. I hear that train a-coming, is rolling round the bend. And I ain't seen the sunshine since I don't know when. I'm walking to the 4 chord, Folsom Prison. Time keeps dragging. Back to the 1 chord. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. But that train keeps rolling. 4 chord down to San Antone. 2, 3, 4. And with no, or he starts singing right there because it's going into the next measure. So instead of there being a 12th bar, there's just 11. But if you've never played along to the track and you're just like playing it at a jam or something, most people play it as a 12 bar blues. So they don't do that exception. They just go, hey, it's basically a 12 bar blues. Let's just put that extra measure back in there. So in my music career, I didn't know that it was 11 bar blues until somebody literally said it at a jam. Yeah, it's weird how Folsom Prison has 11 bars. And it's like, oh, it does, doesn't it? I've been adding that measure and rounding it out because I'm used to all the other songs. So just know that a lot of songs have a slight variation or something just to make them their own. So it's like it's essentially following all these rules, but they decide to break just one or change just one thing about it. And so if you're writing a blues song, you can think about that too. Like, what kind of thing can you just change there? I believe there's a Fish song. Yeah, dun, 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 that's one measure. So that's the same as the Folsom Prison. They have their own little turnaround, but instead of it taking up both of the last measures of the 12-bar blues, they just have a one measure thing going on. So it's just an 11-bar blues as well. So you'll hear little variations like that. And then there's another kind of blues. Not every blues is a 12-bar blues or just a slight variation on it at all. There's some that are called 16-bar blueses. And a lot of times on the 16-bar blues, you'll just have 4 extra measures of the one chord at the beginning. So usually there'll be like a riff or something, like that's a good example, right? Dun, 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 that's one measure. Dun, 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 dun. Then there was 2. Dun, 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 that's 3 measures. Dun, dun, I'm not moving yet, you see. It builds suspense as you wait around. Then when we get there, the 4 chord can be found with the walk up, right? So you end up with 8 measures of the one chord, and then the whole rest of the blues is the same as a 12-bar would be. So that's like a 16-bar blues, but knowing a 12-bar really helps with that. And then there's some songs where some of the verses are 16 bars like that, and some of the verses are just 12 bars. And a lot of times they'll add stops in. So like Tore Down is a perfect example, one that goes back and forth between a 12-bar blues, then it goes to a 16-bar blues, then it goes back to a 12-bar blues. So the verses, some of them, let's see, tore down. Well, I don't know why I'm doing it in that key. It's in a different key. Tore down, almost level with the ground. So the chorus is just a 12-bar. Tore down, I'm almost level with the ground. Right, and you go to the 5 chord. I like this when my baby, she can't be found. But then you have some stops. Or it's on the 1 chord. But dun, da, 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 that's one measure. Dun, dun, dun. You're hitting the first note of these. And then, so that one's still a 12-bar. But the second verse, it's like, went to the river, jumped in. Da, da. No, that's the first one. And then there's 4 more. Bum 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 bum. Walk up to the 4. Right. So those are not the words. I'm just trying to like explain what's going on. So there are songs that do that where most of the time it's a 12-bar, but if they have extra lines they want to say in one of the verses, they might extend it out. And that's another thing. When you add stops like that, a lot of times the stops will be on beat 1 of the first 4 measures, and you'll just be silent for those other measures so that the vocal lines really stand out. Like, I'm playing this song and it's got the stop. I'm leaving the pattern out, just playing the first beat till the 4 chord, right? So that's kind of what happens in some songs too. And a lot of times, if you've never played a song, like let's say the singer is a guitar player too, they'll use their neck a lot of times. They're like signaling a stop. So you got to kind of like have this other stuff down when you're at a jam so that you can look around and really listen, pay attention to the cues that the drummer and the guitar player are giving you. And then that's the way you can be successful in a blues jam. So they'll tell you a little tiny bit about the song. All right, guys, it's a shuffle in G with a quick 4. Okay, so you know it's a shuffle in G with a quick 4. So you know this line will work. You know, and so forth. And then they get to the second verse, you know, it's like they get done with the guitar solo or whatever, boom, they're cueing a stop. And you'll know because the drummer will probably stop too if they're paying attention too. So a lot of these things you really just learn from being at a jam, but it might help to know to look for these things if you've never been to one before. And if you're nervous about jumping in and playing, you can just watch what other people are doing, and you'll see some of these things, like people cueing with the guitar neck in certain parts of the song, or people holding up numbers on their hand. They're usually holding up like 4, or go to the 2 chord, or go to the 5. So they're letting you know what chord to go to if it's a guitar player letting you know. A drummer, they may not be saying that. They might be telling you, we're going to stop on beat 4 or something. But those aren't as like standardized. So if a guitar player is cueing this, it probably means, hey, we're doing a stop on beat 1 of the measure. Or if he does it halfway through, it might be on a different beat. Sometimes people let you know it's the last time around the 12 bar and that we're about to do an ending. They put their arm up in the air to let you know, hey, we're about to stop on the 4 chord. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's no real substitute from really like learning the songs, but you'd be surprised at how many songs you can get through that you've never heard before if you just understand some of the things from this course and you learn a few more variations as you go. Like a rumba pattern. I don't think we talked about that style. There's just a whole lot of little things like that. A funky blues, right? You might have you can use the box shape and make up a funky bass line. And I'm just giving variations of the pattern, but you get the idea. So it's like I'm using that box shape. If you look at that, like here's an example of a box shape. You're doing 3rd frets and 5th frets within an octave. So if this is a G, that's a G. We can use the 3rd fret and 5th fret on the strings. You could even get away with doing the 3rd fret on the E string, but that one's less common. There's a reason for it, but we don't need to get into that. It has to do with pentatonic scales, which notes are and aren't in pentatonic scales. Minor pentatonic scales specifically. But yeah, so you can make up a line using that box shape and then move that pattern around the changes for a funky 12 bar. And you'll learn things as you go. Like funky things will usually have straight 8th notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and shuffles will have that long, short, long, short, long, short kind of 8th notes. And slow blueses, typically the drummer will be keeping all 12 beats, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 on either the hi-hat or the ride cymbal. And that's how you can tell it's not a shuffle. They're really playing every one of those notes. So it's not just a long, short, long, short. It's like a triplet, 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 even though you're probably going to be playing just like the shuffle pattern, the long and then the short at the end. Triplet, long, short, long, short. But you'll learn these things from going to jams and listening to other people play. So the main thing is just kind of like get out there. If you're confident on like one song or two, try to find a singer that can sing that song and maybe bring them to the jam, or ask people at the jam, hey, do you know this song? This is the only song I know right now, or the only song I feel comfortable doing at a jam. Is it possible for me to get up later in the night and play bass on that if someone else will sing it? That kind of thing. And the other thing is being able to do all of these things in all the different keys. So we have a pattern-based instrument, but you still need to know like where an A is, where G is. So if they say, hey guys, it's a shuffle in D, you go, D. How do I do my pattern off of an open string, right? You have another way to find a D note that you can do your pattern off of. And you know that you can go down to the 4 chord instead of up to the 4 chord. And I'm talking about pitch wise. So you normally go up in pitch to get to the 4 chord, but you can take that note down an octave. So that's our 1 chord. And when we go to our 4 chord, we can go 1 string thicker, 2 frets back. And then back to our 1 chord. 5 chord. See that time, instead of going to the 5 chord, 1 string thinner plus 2 frets, I went same fret, 1 string thicker. And then our 4 chord, and then 1 odd chord. So there's just a lot of variations that you'll get used to. One thing that'll help you figure out what's going on is if you can figure out the count. Like, okay, when are we going to the 4 chord? Okay, so is our count 1, 2, 3, 4 for a measure, or is it really 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4? And you'll kind of hear these things. The drummer kind of helps too, because usually their snare hits are on beats 2 and beats 4 in most styles, not the slow blues, but in a lot of other genres of blues. So, and rock for that matter, and pop. So hopefully you can kind of just listen to these things and be grounded in what the other instruments are doing too. And some of you guys might have picked up a lot of this stuff naturally, but it might be cool to like hear how it's referred to, so that when people talk about things at jams, you go, oh, they just mean this thing that I've been doing this whole time, that kind of thing. But yeah, I hope that this course and these live streams are encouraging you guys to get out there and play. So I hope you do. And I'm going to close this out the same way that I normally close these live streams out, with an original song of mine called Green Tea. That one, not including the intro, that one is a 12-bar blues with kind of a bossa nova kind of bass line going on, but I'm playing the melody at the same time as that. So let me play that for you and try to hear the 12-bar form underneath it if you can. 4 chord. I'm going to turn it around. That's called a tag. We talked about that earlier. And then ending. So you can kind of see, like, I use the idea of the 12 bar. I use the idea of tagging the 12 bar, which means doing the last 4 measures of the form, repeating that a couple of times before the end, and then throwing an ending on at the very end. So hopefully that helps a little bit. I hope that any of y'all sitting on the sidelines feel a little bit more encouraged to go out and jam with some other people, because even if you're not at a jam at like a local restaurant or bar or something, you can still get together with some friends that understand a little bit about the blues and be able to play these things too, because there are a lot of people all around the world, because the blues is pretty standardized in this way. There are a lot of songs that are 12 bars. So hopefully y'all are encouraged to go out there and just jam some blues with some people. But for now, I hope you'll have a great week, and I'll catch you on the next one. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Normally our live streams are at 7 p.m. Today I started at 7:30, so I apologize for the late start. But it should be 7 on the first Thursday of each month. And sometimes it hasn't been. Sometimes it's been the second Thursday, just depending on my schedule. But I try to get 1 per month for you guys. All right, have a good one, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Have a good night.